So I just started watching this new show on Netflix and I am obsessed. I know I don't usually do stuff like this, like I'm not a commentary channel, but it's holiday break, there's nothing really going on, so I just want to talk about this show that I really like. But don't worry, I'm not going to be rambling. I am going to be walking you through the first 6 episodes because Netflix is doing this thing and it's real smart, but it's aggravating. Netflix is releasing the first 6 episodes of this season for the first like half of December, and then they're not releasing the last portion of the season until December 17th. It is the 14th today, so I have 3 days, but by the time this comes out, the second portion of the show will probably be out, so you can like catch up with it then. The show is called 20-somethings. It's a reality formatted show. There are 8 people who are in their mid-20s, early mid-20s, and they moved to Austin, Texas. First off, this is the perfect way to market a new place because after watching this show, I'm like, I want to go to Austin. I have never had the desire to go to Texas, but after watching this, I'm like, yeah. The show has like no real premise. They're not there to find love. They're not there to make money. They're there to basically figure their life out because they're in their mid-20s and they're lost. So there are 8 people in total who come on the show. We have Natalie Cabo. She's 26 from Miami, Florida. And she still lives at home with her parents. Throughout the season, you learn that her parents are pretty controlling. Her dad at one point had cameras in their house to watch them because that's not invasive at all. She's a little awkward, but she's also hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sexy. Fuck yeah, I'm sexy. I'm gonna wake up in the mirror every day, look myself in the mirror and be like, here, hold on. Let me redo, sorry, that was a little awkward.
I just resonated with Natalie so much, like she's so fucking funny. Then there is Raquel Daniels, or Roxy. She's 25 from Eatonville, Florida. She just graduated from college, but she decided to move home due to the pandemic. So this was like her first time out and about, living life. She's 25, she's young, she wants to get with it. And then we have Bruce. Let's just say throughout the season, I truly fell in love with Bruce, but he is 23 from Greenville, South Carolina. When I first saw this man's face, I initially thought of this meme.
So whenever I see it or smell it, I make this noise to warn you.
And after getting through these first 6 episodes, I take it all back. Bruce, I'm so sorry. All love for you. He lost his job in 2020 during COVID, so he ended up moving back home and living with his dad, where he worked with his dad at an insurance company. The one thing that sold me on this man's is one of his favorite movies is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and that is my like all-time favorite movie. So Bruce, where you at? And then we have Abby Humphreys, 26 from Houston, Texas. She wants to live a lot.
I just want to like live a lot.
And she's recently divorced at 26. Abby's a roller coaster of a person, but we'll dive into it. Then we have Keanu Perez, or Kiki. He's 28 years old from Arkansas. Basically his whole life in Arkansas, he just wasn't able to live his best gay life. He grew up in a religious household. He was in a very like conservative area, and so he didn't feel comfortable being himself. He identifies as gay, but he's never been with a man. He's never, you know, kissed a man, dated a man. So he came to Austin to kind of experience his sexuality, to really get in touch with his sexuality and just be free and open and his happiest, best self. Love Kiki. And then we have Isha Punja, who's 24 years old from Irvine, Orange County. She went to UC Berkeley and studied economics, and this girl can dress. She actually has like a clothing startup where she designs a bunch of her own clothes. They're gorgeous, they're super detailed. I don't know, I feel like the show portrays her as ditzy, but you can just tell as time goes on that she's really not, and she is a girl boss.
I went to UC Berkeley for economics. I do think I'm intelligent, but every now and then I say things that can come across a little ditzy. I get confused between Miami and Maine because they both start with an M.
And then we have Kamari Bonds. He is 23 years old from Greensboro, North Carolina, and this guy's a model. He's very attractive, but he's just so freaking dense. This man has like nothing to say, like ever.
KB, Kamari Bonds, School of Modeling. Never show too much white in your eyes when you do a profile, so.
Episode 1. Yo, this is editing, Serena, and I realized I didn't even include one of the characters. So we're gonna talk about Michael really quick. Michael Fractor is 23 years old from LA, California. He is pursuing stand-up comedy, unsuccessfully might I add, and he describes himself as weird and Jewish. This dude is definitely a mama's boy. Sometimes you like him, sometimes you're like, Michael! I don't know how else to describe this man without giving too much away, but you love him, you hate him, you can't get rid of him. There's no in between.
My mom makes me feel guilty for sneezing. It's insane. We got a puppy right before I came here, and she lets me know every time we talk on the phone that I ditched the puppy and I was supposed to help take care of him, but I mean, whatever.
This is just like the introduction episode. Everybody's getting to know each other. The premise of the show is that the guys and the girls live in separate houses. So the girls are in one house and the guys are on another. And they're also able to share their thoughts in like a private confessional room. The backyard kind of connects both houses, so they're able to meet, mingle, get a little flirt on. Initially, Raquel, or Roxy, feels a little bit of a spark with Michael because Michael is awkward. And because he's awkward, he's a little more reserved, and a lot of the girls can't get a read on him, and so they find that attractive.
I feel a spark with Michael. It's because he's very mysterious. I kind of like that. I want to like pull out whatever he's hiding.
The first episode is just a big flirt fest, okay? That's kind of the best way to sum it up. You know, Abby's flirting with Bruce. Bruce is flirting with Isha. Abby's flirting with Isha. Kamari is flirting with Abby. Raquel and Michael go to the grocery store where she flirts with him, and he's absolutely oblivious to the fact that Raquel likes him.
I think she's like seeing something in me that maybe most girls don't. Not sure.
Natalie and Kiki kind of bond over the fact that everybody else in the house kind of looks like models. They're super outgoing, like extroverted, and they're just kind of like the more introverted, shy, awkward ones. And I totally feel that. It's nice being around somebody who kind of has a sense of humor, who's a little goofier, because they're just easy to be around. It's easy to be yourself, whereas a lot of times, like, people who are conventionally really attractive and look like models and have this like super outgoing, like charismatic personality, it can be kind of hard to tap into a genuine relationship with those type of people because the main thing they have going for them is their looks. So I get you. Kiki and Natalie, I feel you too. Like I get it. Honestly, everybody who initially like starts off like vibing with one another, none of them end up with each other. They all end up with different people in the house, so like it's not really relevant. But what is relevant is the fact that Michael brings up that he recently joined Hinge and he's talking to a 51-year-old. Michael is 23. She is more than twice his age. Also, I swear, I think this show is like sponsored by Hinge because the amount of times they bring up that app and only that app, like they're never talking about Tinder, they're never talking about Bumble, it's always Hinge. So I'm like, something's going on here. So basically Bruce and Isha get to talking and there could be like a little connection going on there, but Abby is quick to say that they are nothing alike and that they probably won't get along in the future. Which in the moment I was like, Abby, quit being a jealous hoe. But then she ended up being right. And then later that day, Michael goes on a date with the 51-year-old. And it is the most awkward date ever. I'm pretty sure like the producers and stuff like obviously manufacture these scenes to be more awkward than they are. But even then, it is just palpable. You can feel it. It's so uncomfortable.
There's something called 69 scrimps.
Dude,
You have to guess what it is.
Is it shrimp?
No.
She literally looks like this man's mother. And I'm not like shaming that, you know, once you get to like a consenting age, it's totally fine, but like, this is just weird, okay? They have nothing in common. They don't really have a lot to talk about. One of Michael's things is that he is really into stand-up comedy, which he'll go into later in the season, and my God, his comedy is so atrocious. It's bad jokes, they're really awkward, and not once did I giggle. I think I laughed out of like uncomfortableness. Same with this 51-year-old when they're on the date. He's like popping jokes and she's like Later that night they all go to a bar, you know, Bruce and Isha, they're kind of flirting, but she had her guard up about him because she thought because he came from the South, he was a little more conservative and then he might be a Trump supporter. Isha, totally valid. Kamari and Ashley start flirting. They've got like a little vibe going on. Ashley has this whole like I'm self-destructive and that makes me quirky and fun type vibe. And so she kind of knows that like things with her and Kamari are gonna go downhill, but she's like, love, laugh, love, let's try it out. And then Michael brings the old lady to the bar. And Roxy is like, why'd you bring your grandma, Michael? Like, I've been trying to get a connection here, what's going on? So Michael walks the old lady out of the bar and he kisses her goodnight, and it's just, and that's basically how the episode ends. Just a lot of flirting, a lot of sexual tension, you know, the heat, it's palpable, you can feel it, but it doesn't really matter because the people who initially have like that first connection with each other in this episode end up going off with other people. So regardless of what happened then, let's get into episode 2. Michael and Roxy end up going to the grocery store together where Michael reveals to Roxy that he is a virgin. And this basically was kind of a big turnoff for Roxy, and her little crush on Michael soon fizzled.
The sacred cucumber is best for someone else.
You know, I've done my fair share of like hand and mouth stuff.
Hand and mouth stuff is literally still sending me, and I'm trying not to smile, but I'm screaming inside.
It's a weird way of putting it.
And then Bruce has an interview with a sporting company. He wants to try something new and get out of his normal hometown, so he has a job interview. During this episode too, Isha kind of has her doubts about Bruce because they know each other, but like she doesn't know if their political beliefs align necessarily because she's from California, he's from the South. Like we got like a big conservative liberal type deal going on, and we all know how that turns out, so. But Bruce has not specifically said that he is conservative, so she's more just like kind of assuming, honestly. Then Natalie plays the best wing woman of all time and goes day drinking with Abby and Kamari and is like,
The sexual tension is palpable, okay? Like, it turns me on a little. I'm sorry. No, but seriously. So yours in a fuck?
Oh shoot.
of course they're like, oh my god, like Natalie, I can't believe you'd say that, but then they're like,
Hey, how you doing, little mama? Let me whisper in your ear.
Then Kiki goes on his first date, but during the date, his date reveals to him that he's actually talking to somebody and that he more was just like getting lunch with Kiki for like a friend type vibe, which I understand, like not all dates are like that, but like you would kind of assume if somebody asked you to drinks that like they're not just looking for a friend. I don't know, but Kiki's basically like, damn, like that could have been mine. But the guy actually invites him to a gay bar over the weekend and he's like, hey, you know, I have a ton of friends that like to go to this area, like why don't you meet up with us? So Kiki's like, all right, we're going to the gay bar. Later that day, Michael takes Kamari to one of his stand-up sets and Michael completely bombs.
We have cool words like hand job and foot job. I think it's time we start calling sex a pussy job, right? Because right now it's just what my parents call my career at Forever 21.
Oh, I'm not sure if like the editing did him dirty or if his jokes were that bad, but I just think they were that bad.
Hey, you guys ever push so hard while you're pooping that you accidentally let some pee out from tomorrow?
But then this was the part in the show where I was like, okay, I fuck with this show because it's just like, what? It's so chaotic. Michael bombs so bad that he comes home, throws a temper tantrum, and walks around with his shirt around his head. He literally is like, so you're gonna tell me you're gonna act like a 12-year-old, but then you're gonna go and date a 51-year-old. Something's not adding up. But in the midst of this temper tantrum, Isha like finds it attractive because she says he's like a perfectionist about his art. It's like kind of hot that he like threw a tantrum because he's so upset that like his work wasn't perfect. So she ends up developing a crush on Michael and cleaning his room up for him.
I feel like he actually is a little bit of a perfectionist, like, you know, trying and constantly wanting to get better at something. That's the sort of person that I definitely want to, you know, be around.
I can't make this stuff up. Later that night, the whole group goes to the gay bar with Kiki because it is his first time going to a gay bar and they're like, we're here to support you, like we are your friends, let's fucking go, let's get you a mans. It is there at the bar that my love for Bruce really just elevated. Bruce is there, he's like flirting with the drag queens, he's talking to the bartender. That scared the absolute shit out of me. That was our speaker and it turned off. You saw my life just like leave my body for a second there. Anyways, Bruce is flirting with the drag queens, you know, he's like, oh my god, like you guys look so good, like this is crazy. He ends up switching shirts with the bartender because he liked his shirt so much. And it's not like a queer baiting type vibe, it's literally just Bruce having like a good time. And Isha sees this and she's like, hold up, maybe Bruce isn't like as conservative as I thought. So they have a little combo and she's like, bro, I thought you were a Trump supporter, and he's like, bitch, no, I'm a moderate. But apparently Isha, I don't think she's like feeling Bruce at that time anyways, because tantrum throwing Michael, she's like, oh my god. Kiki's friend that initially invited him to the bar actually doesn't end up showing up. But then Kiki ends up meeting this really hot like cowboy farmer type dude. They're vibing, they're getting it on. They don't kiss or anything, nothing sexual, but Kiki does get his number. Overall, it was like a pretty successful night for this man's. And to end the night off, Abby and Kamari end up kissing at the gay bar. The both of them have that mentality of like, I just want to fuck around, like I don't want anything serious. You know, you can have the mentality, but like we all know where this is gonna go. Episode 3, Roxy and Isha are kind of talking about, you know, the whole type deal with Michael, and Roxy gives Isha the green light for Michael because she's like, yeah, I ain't fucking with the virgin. I mean, there's no other way to put it, but Roxy's just like, yeah, I'm not about the virgin man, but like, you can have him. Oh, another Bruce moment that I am like, that just makes me fall in love with Bruce even more. Bruce gives Kiki dating advice and kind of like helps him build up the courage to call the guy from the bar and ask him out on a date. And this moment, oh my god, it was a type deal where I could not stop smiling. I was just like, oh my god, this is so cute.
I was just wondering if you'd be interested in maybe going on a date this week.
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to.
Bruce he's the type of guy, he's from South Carolina, he's very southern, like he's freaking yoked. Like you would think that he would be like very toxic masculinity, but he is the exact opposite of that, and it's so attractive. He's so supportive of Kiki, and like he's helping him like get these men and get these dates, and it's like, oh, Bruce, you were a gem. You were a gem of a man. He's so secure in the man that he is. But at this point, I'm like, okay, what's wrong with Bruce? So Kiki asks the guy on the date, they end up going out on their first date, and Kiki has his first kiss!
I just got my first kiss, like shmee, like cloud 9. I'm like, can we do that again, please?
This whole episode, I looked like a fool. I was grinning so hard. I was like, Kiki! Like, it was just so pure and wholesome, and it was such a cute date. Kamari and Ashley have a conversation where they're like, hey, I'm emotionally unavailable, so like nothing serious, no relationships, like she just got out of a divorce, and Kamari is a man. So then later in the episode, after Kiki's date, he ends up getting some really bad news actually, and his grandma passes away. And here we go again, another Bruce moment where I was like, God, I love this man.
It's okay to cry, man. She's placed certain people in your life to love you and be supportive of you, and I think that's one of the reasons you're here. And you know, deep in your heart, she loves you, man. Stop.
We need to protect Bruce at all costs. And Kiki. Like, their friendship is so beautiful and I love them. But because his grandma passed away, Kiki ends up leaving for a short period of time just so he can be with his family, you know, honor his grandma at her funeral. And so he ends up leaving for about a week. Then the episode ends with some tea. Kamari and Ashley, they do the nast. But at the end of episode 3, Isha and Michael plan to go on a date. Okay, episode 4, Kamari walks in the bathroom to talk to Michael while he is soaking his feet in Epsom salt to help his ingrown toenails. I mean, I honestly love Michael because he's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna be myself. Like, he's so unapologetic for who he is and how he acts. I'm like, okay, I get it. Isha, I kinda get it. The tantrum, no, but like, if you wanna soak your toes in some Epsom salt, do what you gotta do. Kamari and his non-committal ass kind of tries to warn Michael about going on the date with Isha because they might catch feelings and mess up the house dynamic. Like, he didn't just fuck Abby the night before. Like, what? I don't know. This guy is just so typical fuckboy dude. I don't really care for him. Then Bruce FaceTimes his dad and realizes that he really like misses his life back home. And this is a big foreshadowing in the show. You kind of know where I'm going with this, but Bruce is just very homesick, so he's obviously like calling his family every day, talking about how much he misses his friends and his life back in South Carolina. Natalie ends up getting a job at a coffee shop. Isha and Michael go on their date. And at this point, I was a little annoyed because Michael's whole personality is like, I'm so awkward, like Isha's so out of my league.
Some might say she's out of my league. I strongly
agree. I think we could be friends, but I'm already awkward enough around girls, and I think it could be pretty bad.
His whole personality is just like, do I kiss her? Do I touch her? What? I'm like, Michael, breathe. I think I'm just hating though because this date ended up being super cute and they have like this dynamic where they're like awkward, funny, sense of humor just like flows and it works.
Well done.
Ow! I just hit myself.
Are you okay?
Do you feel that?
You have a big bump on your head. Is that from that?
No, I just have a bumpy head.
Oh, okay.
And Michael reveals to Isha that he is in fact a virgin and she's like, boy, I bet knew. I knew this, like, I don't care. She almost finds it endearing, so she's like, I don't care. I'll take that, you know, I'll be the one to take the cucumber.
Have a good one, virgin.
Then later that night, the group goes to the bar. While at the bar, Kamari ends up with another girl. He's flirting with another girl and Abby is not having it. And honestly, Abby, I get it. I've been in that situation where like seeing somebody that you like that and seeing them with somebody right in front of you, like he was not making it discreet at all. He was right in front of Abby, like doing this shit. Kamari, think a little bit and like don't be doing this shit in front of her because it's still hurtful. And if it was the other way around, you probably wouldn't like it either. But during this, Abby is like getting pissed at the girl and like making comments about how she's like prettier than her anyways, and so like she's not even mad.
Not really worried about it because like honestly, there's no real comparison.
You can be mad at Kamari all you want, but like this girl, it's not her fault. She doesn't know the situation, she doesn't know Kamari, it is all on him, so let's not come for the girl. Kamari ends up making out with this girl in front of Abby at the bar and then later hooking up with her. Abby is fuming, babes, by the end of it. The end of this episode is one of my favorite scenes, actually. Michael and Isha are at the bar, they're talking whatever, and she goes up to him and says this.
You're holding on to a bad, Michael.
You're welcome.
And then the episode ends and Isha kisses Michael on the cheek. So wholesome, so wholesome. I kind of love it. All right, episode 5. Kiki is back. He is thriving. Is he thriving? His grammar just passed. I don't know if that's like the right word. Episode 5, Kiki is back. Then this episode, Natalie decides to get on the dating apps, aka Hinge, aka not so subtle sponsor of this show. Abby and Kamari get lunch and talk about how what he did was kind of fucked up.
I'm all ears. What's up?
I'm a bit annoyed.
Annoyed?
Annoyed.
With me or just in general?
A valid point that she did have was that regardless of whether they're in a relationship or not, like she still deserves some form of respect from him, and she didn't get that when he was macking on some random girl at the bar. So they talk it out. She's like, okay, no hard feelings, blah blah blah, whatever, we can still do the friends with benefits, like it's fine. But then in the confessional she's like, yeah, I may or may not be developing feelings for this guy, and I know exactly why. It's because you want what you can't have, and what you can't have is this man's. He's not gonna commit to her, so it's the chase. Girl, I mean, I get it. Like, she's only been with one guy. Being married for like 5 years, I'd be like, okay, I need something to spice it up. But Kamari's not it. Later, Natalie is kind of on the dating apps, you know, she's swiping and she's talking to this guy and she's like, oh my god, we formed a connection. Like, he's so cute, he's so nice. And then that night he ends up sending her a dick pic. She comes out the next day, and just remember, like, Natalie isn't very like experienced. Like, she grew up in a very like reserved household. Her parents were like really overbearing. So she comes downstairs and she's like, I just got a dick pic, lady.
The guy that I'm talking to, he sent me a dick pic. Why is no one smiling?
You just started talking to this guy yesterday and he's already sending you a dick pic, like red flag 101.
I've never been the it girl where guys are just like, you know, giving me a lot of attention. So to finally feel like there's a guy like wanting to talk to me and wanting to show me parts of himself, I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, Natalie, I want to give you a hug so bad, girl. Like, then Michael and Isha set up another date and she tells Michael that she wants to go see one of his stand-up sets. And I was just like, no. And Michael says the same. He's like, no, let's not do that. And Isha's like,
no, let's do it. Come on. Like, I want to see. So they end up going to one of his stand-up sets and he bombs again really bad. The secondhand embarrassment was like through the roof with this one. It was like jokes about meth.
I read recently that Hitler was on meth the entire time he was in power. I hope we don't start using meth as like an excuse for his anti-Semitism.
Jews.
Because believe it or not, I've done meth before, but I didn't try killing 6 million Jews. That's crazy. I only tried killing one.
And poop, which, you know me, like poop jokes, I think poop jokes are hilarious. But his weren't even funny. I was like, Michael, you can't even make me laugh with poop jokes. Like, that's how you know you're bad. But you know what? After that though, I was like, if Isha likes him after that, they're unstoppable. Later, Natalie also goes back to the whole like dick pic situation and decides to meet this guy for drinks. And shocker, this guy does not show up. No guy is going to send you a dick pic and then be like, yeah, let's meet up for drinks. Like, he literally just wanted to get one off the night before. Like, he has no intention of getting to know you. But Natalie decides to turn the situation around and make a girl boss move and invest in a vibrator.
I'm excited. You know what this means, ladies? Once this happens, I'm a new woman.
Isha and Michael have another sushi date later that night after he bombs at his stand-up set, you know, kind of make up for what happened, and they share their first kiss. Episode 6, so this was the last episode that I was able to watch because Netflix cut me off. Netflix, thank you. Wasn't trying to spend my whole day watching this, but come on. The episode starts out and Bruce ends up getting the job at the athletic company Round Rock Express, but he kind of realizes in that moment that by taking the job, that means he would have to move to Austin and move away from his family. So he's kind of conflicted. Abby is still a little pressed about the whole Kamari situation, even though they had a conversation. So she decides to be self-destructive and meet up with a guy that she met on Hinge a couple months ago, and they hook up for one night.
Listen to me. I want to have self-destruction. Literally nothing can stop me. So, it is on no one's about myself.
So then Abby talks about the fact that she feels like she's falling back into old habits.
For so long, I shaped a lot of my personality around being someone that would get attention from men. It's almost like an addiction.
But she's self-aware at least. She knows. She's like, you know what, I'm getting back in these habits. It's bad, but I'm gonna keep doing it. I don't know. Isha visits a boutique to start selling her clothing line, and the first boutique she goes to, I'm like, girl, what were you expecting? Like, this is not the vibe of your clothes.
I'm just worried they might not be the right fit with the customer base that we have.
And so obviously the boutique is like, yeah, this isn't our style, but like, cute shit, take it somewhere else. Finally, Kamari and Abby have a conversation where they're like, look, I think we can just be friends. This whole like friends with benefits thing is just like, not. It's not. Like, let's just stop hooking up. They make up, they're like, okay, friends? None of the hanky-panky. And then Roxy is like, but then Isha takes her clothes to a second store and they're like, girl, this is the vibe, this is it, this is cute, this is everything. And they end up doing like a consignment type thing. I don't really know what that is, but I think they just sell her clothes for her. Isha's happy, her clothing line is hopefully taking off, and she's got something going with this company in Austin. Except, okay, the one thing is, the lady at this second store, at this like second boutique or whatever, she gave me such creepy vibes. I don't know why. She was like the whiter, creepier version of Kourtney Kardashian.
Oh, now we gotta go.
And she just, something about her didn't sit right with me. I was like, then this episode ends with Bruce going back home. He realized after he got the job, it kind of like made him realize that, oh, I would have to stay in Austin if I wanted this job, and Austin is like not where my heart is. Like, his family's at home, all of his friends are at home.
Gotta do what's right for my family and myself right now.
So he leaves. Bruce leaves, bro. I was so upset when this man's left. It's funny because the group ends up going out later that night and they're like, Bruce wouldn't have wanted us to be sad. It's like, bro, you don't care what Bruce thought, you just wanted to get lit. Like, it's okay, you can just say that. But they go out to the club, they're like dancing, whatever, and you can see there's a little spark between Kamari and Roxy. They're flirting, they're at the bar, and Abby sees this and she's like, Boy, what the hell, boy? And that was the end of episode 6. And that's all I got. That's all I got so far because the rest of the episodes are like locked. So I can't watch them. If you like this, give it a thumbs up because maybe I'll do like a part 2 when the next episodes come out because I love talking about these people. I fuck with them. I fuck with them so hard. That is it for me. Like, subscribe, comment if you've seen the show or if you haven't yet and you're like, ooh, I'm kind of curious. And let me know. Let me know which characters you like. Just let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this show. Okay, that's it for me. Bye, guys.